What was fighting like in the American Civil War? What was used on the battlefield? Well, I can answer some of those questions. I've compiled 4 weapons that were most popularly used during the Civil War. They are all interesting in the way that they work and how they look. These weapons proved effective in the Civil War and made combat interesting. Of course, though, these weapons are very inefficient compared to modern weapons. However, I still find them quite interesting. Alright, so the first weapon I'm going to cover is the Model 1860 Light Cavalry Saber. This sword was, as it says in the name, used by cavalry and dragoons. The entire sword was 41 inches long and the actual blade was 35 inches long. It weighed about 2 pounds and 4 ounces and weighed 3 pounds and 10 ounces with an iron scabbard. It was hand forged out of steel and brass, and it had a nice handle with a shiny hilt that protected the hand. A blade of the sword was long and thin. It had a slight curve upwards that allowed for easier slashing. When blades are curved, it makes it more comfortable and natural to swing. Now let's dive into how the sword was used and who used it. The Model 1860 Light Cavalry Saber was used by dragoons and cavalry. As I stated previously, cavalry were soldiers on horseback, and dragoons were lighter forms of cavalry. But on horseback, you have to reach down to slash at enemies, right? Well, the saber's long blade allowed for a large reach, proving effective for cavalry units. Cavalry generally used longer swords so they could reach down from their horses to slash at infantry. Now it's time for the good part, the guns. The first gun is a Springfield Model 1861 rifle. The Springfield Model 1861 was a long musket that was very helpful all throughout the Civil War. This gun featured static iron sights capable of hitting targets 600 yards away. These kinds of sights made this gun unique, as no other gun had the same. The Union benefited heavily from this gun because they got these guns imported often from England. The Confederacy, however, had to acquire these guns by stealing and recovering them from battle sites. This rifle was specifically used by infantry, and it turned them into great marksmen because of the new high-quality sights. It was a muzzle-loading rifle, and it had a .58 caliber smooth-bore barrel. It fired a round called mini-ball shot, which was good at breaking bones from long distances. The mini-ball was also made to bounce off the ground, sometimes causing more damage. The second gun is the Colt 1860 Army Revolver. This gun was a .44 caliber revolver. It had an 8-inch long barrel and sights that were set for hitting targets 70 to 100 yards away. It had a 6-shot cylinder and was built out of iron or steel. It usually possessed a bronze trigger guard, and it weighed 44 ounces and was sometimes used with a shoulder stock to improve aim. This gun was mostly used by the Union in the Civil War, and it was very reliable. The gun was reloaded using a rammer in front of the cylinder. This gun was an officer favorite, and you often see them holding these guns in some depictions. The revolver was the most common sidearm in the Civil War. It was used by cavalry, infantry, and artillery. Basically, every unit used this gun. The very last weapon I have to talk about is artillery. This specific cannon was named the 12-pounder Napoleon, after Napoleon Bonaparte's nephew, Napoleon III. This cannon was used in the battlefield and was the most popular artillery in the Civil War. It fired round-shot shells, canister shot, common shell, and spherical case shot. The weapon was originally made for the French military, but then its design was licensed for the United States. The cannon had a range of 1,700 yards and weighed over 1,220 pounds. Overall, these weapons are pretty interesting. They show the creativity of early guns and how war went from beating each other with sticks to what we have now. It was a very important step in history, and I wish I could have seen these weapons in action when they were used. Alright, I'm gonna go touch some grass.